security tariffs as well that the US imposes. Let me in fact also rope in Rajat Mishra, who's an economist, into this discussion. Mr. Mishra, how are you looking at this from an economic point of view? Because when we look at agriculture, the Indian government says that it is protecting and it's listed out a whole host of sensitive items that will stay protected, that the Indian government has refused to give concessions on, but they are opening up the market for newer opportunities.
Right. See, the most important thing is the government has long claimed that it is going to protect farmers and their interest. And that is why the concern from many who are looking for the farmers' interest was that will government open its markets for, let's say, products which are coming from USA, which are, let's say, soybean, corn, maize, maybe wheat or rice, or also including pulses. But the most important thing which we have seen in these deals, or the deals which we are looking at right now, they have opened it up for soybean oil, which is not a direct problem for farmers, because it will have some impact, because it will be impacting soybean producers here. But as the direct soybean produce will not come, it will not going to affect the farmers directly. Another thing which is most important, and in my opinion it will be really good for animal husbandry, that is part of agriculture sector, would be DDGs. What is happening in India, the grains, or let's say red sorghum, and these are some of the products which are given to cattle here, including cows, buffalo, calves, etc. But they are not very protein intensive. But whatever products which America is going to export to us, and we have either eliminated or reduced the taxes on that, or tariffs on that. Based on this, the DDGs, which will be more protein rich, will be arriving at India at a very, very cheaper rate. This is going to affect the animal husbandry sector, and they will be in a better situation to get more produce. So the production in animal husbandry will get positively affected. That is a very good thing which we are looking at it, because earlier the concern was, if the government is opening to dairy industries, then milk, and that too what we call as a non-vegetarian milk, because lots of things which are non-vegetarian are also consumed by American cows and American cattle, right? So in that situation, again, government has protected Indian farmers as well as animal husbandry's interest in these regards. These two, three things are the most important thing which we could gather right now from these the details of these deals.
Right. In fact, let me also rope in Mr. All right. I believe we are having some connection with some of our guests who have joined us on the broadcast. Let me in fact rope in Mr. Vijay Kalantri, President, All India Industries Association. Sir, how are you looking at this entire framework that has been introduced? All right. Let me in fact go across to Ambassador Tripathi for more on this. Sir, we were talking about the security tariff that India has gotten concessions to. It is very rare to see a country get concessions in that sector, and you were also talking about how India is getting concessions regarding certain aircraft parts as well.
Our intake of aircraft because of our booming airline industry, one. Secondly, when it comes to defense, we are going to have a deal with critical minerals and rare earths, which we could get from US because we are short of it, and China has the almost monopoly in it. Thirdly, the import of oil, not necessarily US, but from Venezuela. Let me tell our readers, our viewers, that we not only have been importing oil from Venezuela, but we also have invested in oil industry, as our ONGC Videsh OVL had been given by President Hugo Chavez of Venezuela in 2005 to oil fields without any bidding. Incidentally, I was posted there when it happened, and we have these two big oil fields. One in San Cristobal where ONGC Videsh has 49% of stake, and other in Carabobo where we have 18% of stake. So we were having oil from there and selling. We were exploiting oil and selling, but then sanctions by President Trump had stopped that. And we had been asking repeatedly the US government since August last year to do that. So, these things are going to impact heavily, uh, impact heavily and address the concern that US had that India has always been on a positive side, trade benefit India had. So I think in the shorter run, in another 3-4 years, we'll see the benefit and we'll see the rise in bilateral trade, and probably we can touch that 500 billion uh, mark, because as I see only 50 Boeing Dreamliners, each costing from 300 to 380 million dollars. 40 or 50 of them will themselves have about 15 billion. They will themselves make a difference of 15 billion in one go. So I am very positive, though details, nitty-gritty of this trade deal are yet to be announced. But I think that things are going to be easier for us, because and mainly because US also needs now to have a trade deal with India, since they are very much worried that during the last 1 year we had trade deal with EFTA, we had trade deal with
All right.
Britain, we had trade deal with EU.
Right.
So I think it is in interest of US also that to enter into the Indian market more vigorously before it is too late. And
Absolutely,
for that,
it's a
they
win-win
will.
for both the countries, I believe. With that, we'll have to wrap up this bulletin. I thank Ambassador Tripathi, Mr. Singh, and Mr. Mishra for joining us on the broadcast.
जब विकास जी के लिवर का ऑपरेशन हुआ तो पॉलिसी बाजार की टीम ने हॉस्पिटल पहुंचकर 50 लाख रुपए का क्लेम अप्रूव करवाने में पूरी हेल्प की। पॉलिसी बाजार पर 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
MIECC की देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का। MIECC की देगी मिर्च।
यार सोच रहा हूँ पॉलिसी बाजार से टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस ले लेता हूँ ताकि मेरे बाद फैमिली को पैसों की कमी ना। तू भी ले ले।
यार अभी तो यंग है यार, बाद में देखते हैं। आजा चल।
पॉलिसी बाजार पर 0 GST के साथ अब 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 400 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया NewsX का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
This week on the roundtable, we are taking a look at the danger our country faces from the number of Chinese.
Hello and welcome to this special World Cup segment with me, Shivani Singh, on NewsX. In a thrilling opener to the T20 World Cup 2026, Fahim Ashraf's explosive late blitz propelled Pakistan to a dramatic 3-wicket victory over the Netherlands on Saturday in Colombo. Chasing a target of 148, Pakistan got off to a flying start thanks to Sahibzada Farhan's aggressive 47 off just 31 balls. But the Dutch fought back fiercely, snatching quick wickets and leaving Pakistan reeling at 7 down. That's when Fahim Ashraf turned the game on its head, smashing an unbeaten 29 of 11 deliveries, including 2 fours and 3 massive sixes to guide his team over the line. Earlier, Pakistan spinner had dominated, restricting the Netherlands to a modest 147 all out. To discuss this further, joining us on the broadcast is Sunil Yashkalra, cricket scholar, John Limbu, former Zimbabwean cricketer, and Thos Rizvi, senior sports journalist. Let me in fact go across to Mr. Kalra for his entire analysis on this first match of the T20 World Cup.
Well, what a day it was. You had the biggest show opener with the most thrilling encounter. I mean, the best part is the team which was trying to play the spoiled sport actually led it on from the front, and this became very interesting opener for the T20 World Cup. One thing very important here was the way the Dutch team has been fighting back is phenomenal. They come in as complete rank outsiders. They win the match and they make it. I mean, they create some of the best upsets in the World Cup. In fact, not long ago, the Dutch team had defeated Pakistan in the previous edition, but that was past. Today, what we saw was a complete paisa vasool performance by the Dutch team. In fact, most of the Dutch players don't even have a regular job. So I'd like to ask John Nyumbu here. Of course, John Nyumbu has played for the New Zealand and he's played with the Associate Nations. John, what is your experience of these associate members and the underdogs? They play virtually out of their skin and they don't hold anything back. John, what's your opinion? And then we'll come on to the stats with Thos.
Mr. Kalra, I think John will join us shortly. Let's go across to Thos first.
No, you know what? I found this match to be surprising, considering Pakistan was creating a lot of drama before coming into the World Cup. I mean, we have seen exactly what has happened in the recent few days. They were supposed to boycott the World Cup, but then a lot of things were expected in this opener. I mean, you can't compare Netherlands to, with all due respect, to Pakistan. Pakistan still holds a lot of respect considering they have won the World Cup, but this was complete shocker. I mean, they had no clue. 148 they could not chase, and then there was a collapse while chasing, 5 wickets down when they were comfortable in the initial stages. So a lot of things needs to be worked out, especially Babar Azam batting position. This is where they are struggling. I mean, good for Netherlands that they have come up, they have at least put up a show, you know, making it an exciting opener, taking the game to the last over of the match, which shows that they are here not just to make their presence felt, but to make some kind of impact, which they did in this match. A thing would if they would have executed a win, it would have been fantastic from their side. But then this should be a wake-up call from Pakistan. Get away from the controversies of India, Pakistan, whether they want to play against India or no, boycott the match. Focus on the game, because you've just got a square again from Netherlands, which still no match to you, with all due respect.
Well, Thos, one thing interesting, it came out, Max Sodaud has got the most number of runs for T20 for Netherlands. He's got 2,300 odd runs. Scott Edwards with 1,200 odd runs. And then you have Ben Cooper, Stephen and Michael. But when you look at Scott Edwards, the skipper, and Max Sodaud, they've been a regular guys who've been scoring a lot. But when you look at Babar Azam, yes, the Babar Azam, some call it Babar Azam. Do you think he was satisfied the way with his strike rate and the way he conducted his gameplay today? Toss.
Remember, I think Pakistan is confused where to play Babar Azam, whether to open the inning, because that is the only place he can start. Because if you look at the strike rate, it has been 83.33, which is not needed in T20 cricket. Yeah, the circumstances might have been different. Wicket must not be as, they're playing in Colombo right now. This is their first game. Yeah, they might have played a couple of warm-up games, but still, this is not required from Babar Azam. Babar Azam has to have a role not to anchor the innings, but to start. This is T20 cricket. This is not just another ODI cricket match where you can anchor and take the ship to the shore with easy, cool way. But you have to be aggressive. I think there is a question mark over the middle order. I mean, they have a Saibzada Farman who's deadly, who's devastating. Saim Ayub is aggressive. But then, again, Salman Agha is as good. But you need to find a role for Babar Azam. He was completely clueless how to go about it, whether to anchor, whether to take on the attack. Again, he was clueless when he holed out and easy to the fielder. So some way or the other, they need to find a solution to Babar Azam. Otherwise, Pakistan is playing in a losing cause right now in the World Cup, considering the way they started. I don't know where they are heading right now.
Well, absolutely, where they are behaving right now and heading right now. I think both of the points are very crucial for this particular tournament. I'm also joined by John Yambu, if he's there. John, very interesting point. We started our discussion. Want to get your view on the associate members, the way that they behave, the way that they play the World Cup is phenomenal. Started from 1999 and things have gone to the next level. But before you answer, let me also ask or confirm Tos Rizvi's thing about Babar Azam. Post T20 World Cup 2024, he's got 17 innings and he scored at 375 runs. Average is 26 and strike rate is 118, which is a cause of concern for Pakistan. A top order batter with a strike rate of 118 is never into a winning cause. But John, coming back to you, what about the associate nations? They come to the party and they become the party spoilers. Your views? Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Sunil. Thank you very much once again for having me on your show. Always a privilege to be on this show, and just good to meet you when you came over to the UK. And yes, we're at it again. The World Cup is here, and like you're saying, the associate nations are not under pressure when it comes to tournament cricket, because they've got nothing to lose. Like we saw Netherlands playing earlier this morning. I mean, if it wasn't for that top catch at that time of the game, Pakistan would have lost. So with them, it's always an opportunity to take a big scalp. It's always an opportunity to put the bigger nations under pressure. It's always an opportunity to show that with a bit of input from the bigger nations, from the ICC as a whole, that the associate nations do have something to give to the cricket fraternity. And if they only got that opportunity to showcase that, not only during the world showpieces, but also in bilateral series, they'll become a force to reckon with.
Well, absolutely. Again, we were sticking on to...
Let me in fact interrupt you for a bit, Sunil. Let's introduce this piece of information to our viewers as well, that as the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026 heats up here in Mumbai, all eyes are on the defending champions India as they kick off their title defence against a plucky United States side in this Group A clash at the iconic Wankhede Stadium. As the ICC Men's T20 World Cup is heating up over here, now let's in fact take a look at some of the stats and some ground reports ahead of the match. So this is important to note because India is also heading towards its first opening match. This is against the United States. So let's look at some stats over here. The venue is the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. The date and the time is today at 7 p.m. IST. So we are heading for a great match today evening, and let's look at some of the stats. The total number of matches they've played against each other, one. India has obviously won one, USA nil, and no result tie 0. So we have played one match till now, and India has won that as well. Let's look at the stats from the Wankhede Stadium, the T20 stats. The total number of matches, 13. Matches won when we are batting first is 6. Matches won when we are bowling first is 7. An average first inning score is 178. An average second inning score is 156. So we are looking at these brackets as well, because these are the average scores that we might look at the Wankhede Stadium. And India versus USA, what's the weather update for the ICC T20 World Cup? Humidity 53%, weather 31 degrees, it's going to be hot and humid, and wind around 19 kilometers per hour. So these are some of the weather updates that it's a clear sky over there in Mumbai, in Wankhede. We will obviously have a great game on our hands, and India looking to open up there. In fact, let's look at the pitch report as well that's come in. The last men's T20I here was India versus England in February 2025, which India won by 150 runs. And the pitch generally favors batters, though the pacers get early movement with the new ball. So the pacers will get some movement with the new ball. It favors the batsmen over here, and short boundaries and a flat surface can help US batsmen if they actually handle India's pace attack. So like we've mentioned that this pitch actually favors the pacers. Sunil, over to you to discuss how India is going to look at its first match today.
Well, India is all set for the match. Of course, USA is actually an extension of India and Pakistan and the other cricketers when you look at the team, their nationality and the place of birth. But when I look at the T20 stats, total 13 matches have been played here in the last couple of years. The matches won while batting first is 6 and 7. So there is nothing much difference from team batting A, or the toss becomes irrelevant. But the average score in the first inning is 178, and that's where the major pull would be. Average second inning score would be around 158, which means that chasing becomes a little problem in that context. India head-to-head have played just one match against USA, but more importantly, Ishan Kishan is the boy. The T20 record at the Wankhede Stadium, he scored around 659 runs. He's faced 450 deliveries, which means his average score is around, strike rate is about 145. He's got 250s, and he's hit around 66 fours, which means that for him, it's like an IPL game with an extended Indian jersey. Toss is actually from Mumbai. Toss, what is your understanding of the pitch? How will it play when it comes to the second innings vis-a-vis the first innings? Your views, Toss, and then we go on to John Nyambu on the head-to-head lineup between the first 4 players of the team. Yes, Toss.
You know what? It's very hot away. It's humid. I mean, it's February, and we are still surprised that winter has gone so early. So I think it's going to be a good climate for cricket. The evenings are going to be good. But I think, you know what, say batting second is always a good thing if India, because there is due factor at the Wankhede Stadium. It's difficult to grip the ball, to turn the ball at the Wankhede, and the way the kind of attack that India has, whether you take first bowling or second batting, they can do both. They can defend. They have enough wherewithal, whether you talk about the bowlers, whether you talk about the batting, they have enough firepower in them to defend it and as well as chase it. So India has always loved chasing, and this won't be if they win the toss, it won't be anything different from the regular.
Thus, I'd like to have you hear that Saurabh Netravalkar said personally it feels like a full circle coming back to Mumbai, because this is where I nostalgically and emotionally started my journey. You've had an interaction with some of the players who played against him. Rohit and him were some batchmates. Just take us through that story, and then I go on to John Yambu. Toss.
It's not just the players who have played against him. I've had a lot of interaction with Saurabh Netrawalkar. In fact, when he was in the USA team, I asked him about how come he went to USA, and he said I went to USA after I had quit the game because he did not see future in India. He went without cricketing shoes, without his cricket shoes, because he was an engineer, good in studies, software engineer. He went there to pursue his career as an engineer, but then he found his first love, cricket, back again. And then rest is history. The way he fought back, the way he worked hard, he got into the team. Last year he was the captain during the 2024 World Cup, and he did some good stuff against, especially against Pakistan. They won the match. They surprised the world by defeating Pakistan, and almost I wouldn't say scare, but yeah, they got noticed putting up a decent show against India in those New York conditions. So yeah, they will be hungry. Not just Saurabh Netrawalkar. There is Saurabh, of course. There is Harmeet Singh. Both have played India under 19. Both have represented Mumbai cricket. Harmeet is a left-arm spinner. He's a coach. He's played under Rohit Sharma's coach. I mean, Harmeet Singh has played with under Dinesh Lad, who's been the coach of Rohit Sharma. Of course, there is this another all-rounder Shubham Ranjane. His grandfather had played for India from Maharashtra district without shoes. He was he used to work in railways. Then his father played Ranji Trophy. He tried to pursue playing in the IPL. He tried his career in international cricket, but it did not came into effect. So he went to America. So there are a lot of stories around USA. And mind you, when Monang Patel was asked by the reporters, see a lot of Indians and Pakistani cricketers are there. So he said, when it comes to America, it's USA first, then rest of them, whether you're a Pakistani doesn't or an Indian doesn't matter, it's USA first. So they will be playing together, multicultural team, and it's going to be fun to watch. One good opportunity for them to at least put up a show. I don't think so. They're going to put up. They're going to defeat India, but there's a chance to get noticed once again.
Well, the upset is out of question according to Toss Rizvi, but putting up a show is certainly on the cards. Let me get John Nyambu here. John, what is the mindset when a team like USA comes in and they take in like a Goliath? The reason why I ask is on your debut, you took 5 wickets and you took some of the best South African batters in the history of the modern day cricket. Your views, what is the mindset of a bowler when he takes on some of the biggest names in this tournament? John.
I think the most important thing is that you have to stay in the now. And this USA team has been working towards this World Cup and this match for a while now. So also understanding the processes that they've gone through to get themselves to this particular position they are in and not be overawed by the occasion. You know, playing in India, especially at the Wankhede Stadium, is such a huge match for anyone. So we know the stadium is going to be packed, and you know that the wicket is going to be good for both batting and bowling. So just believing that you are able to execute your plans, execute your skills, regardless of the opposition. And USA know that they've got nothing to lose, know that it's all on India for Indians to beat them. And if USA loses, everyone will say it was expected. But if they manage to pull a rabbit out of the hat, it will be like one of the best days of USA cricket. So just staying in the now, executing your plans and making sure that you're not overrode by the occasion.
John, one quick question. When you look at as a bowler, as a spinner, when you look at that dreaded Indian batting lineup, what do you make up of that? What do you think that becomes like in a way? Because you've got the devastating top order, you've got an extremely well middle order with Hardik Pandya whipping the shots out of the ground. Does it bother you that spinners will come in for some harsh treatment in today's match against India?
For me, I think as any sportsman, you live for games like this. You know, you live for an opportunity to play against the best, to show that you also belong at that stage. And if you do get hit for sixes, all spinners know that at one point or the other, we are going to get hit for sixes. But it's to hold the nerve, to try and be a little bit proactive, to try and then take your bowling to that formidable Indian attack, to tell yourself that you are going to be able to achieve and not be afraid of them, because one, you can showcase your talent, and you never know, there's an IPL coming up, someone might tap you up. I know the auction has been done, but then you put your name in the hat for the next IPL season to say, okay, this is John Yumbu. I've played at the World Cup. I've done well against India. And then when someone is thinking about a spinner to pick at any occasion, then they'll look at you and say, okay, this guy has done it before and is able to hold their nerve, is able to compete at the highest level, which is what all sportsmen, elite sportsmen, endeavor to do in their careers, take up those challenges.
John, let's shift our focus to one person who's getting in the entire thing of action, the last action hero for the Indian team, Hardik Pandya. The man can bat, the man can bowl, the man can whip, and he can take some of the most impossible catches on the scorecard. But what is your view on his comeback, considering he's playing in Mumbai? He's a Mumbai Indians boy, and he's currently serving the Indian without any badge of vice captain or captain. What do you think, your views on Hardik Pandya, the player, Hardik Pandya, the non-skipper, and Hardik Pandya, the non-vice captain of the team?
I think Hardik Pandya is special. I mean, it's a special thing to have a three-dimensional cricketer. You know, as you said, he can bat efficiently, he can bat up at the top, in the middle, and he can finish. I remember when they came to England for a T20 series, he was captain, and he batted 4, and he scored runs, he bowled, he took catches. I don't think that him having or not having that tag around him of captain or not captain will change the way he plays. He just enjoys his cricket, humble as well, looks to do everything for the team. And as a bowler, he bowls in those horrible periods where captains want a wicket. He always comes, gets a wicket, even though he does go for a little bit of run, but he's being used as a strike bowler to come and get wickets for the team. And with the bat, he's so devastating. He can adapt to conditions. And a firing Hardik Pandya is a firing Indian national team. It gives the balance for the captain to either play an extra bowler or play an extra batter, as he can be used as either of the two. So it's good to see him back playing Wankhede, Mumbai. I'm a Mumbai Indians fan as well. So we know when we play at Mumbai, and those Mumbai Indian boys, they always put up a show for us. So I think it's going to be exciting watching him today, showcasing his talent for India.
Well, more importantly, Tos, you're a Mumbaikar. It's hot, it's humid. Wankhede Stadium is absolutely buzzing even from now onwards. What is your assessment? When do you expect the match to get over? How soon do you think the carnage will end? Your views, Tos Rizvi, in today's versus the USA.
You know what? India is going to completely dominate it, but I don't want it to be the way how India does it normally. They are defending champions, but there should be a good contest. Yeah, India is a team that is very, very strong, and America is no match to it. But then, some way or the other, I think it's T20 cricket, and it's very unpredictable. I mean, we saw exactly what happened between Pakistan and Netherlands, but it's a completely different side. Pakistan, so very, very predictable the way they have been delivering. But India is somebody who believes in dominating from ball one. And you saw Abhishek Sharma, Ishan Kishan has been in terrific form. Abhishek Sharma has, we have seen over the recent couple of years what he's been doing. He's dangerous. While Hardik Pandya finishes, Surya Kumar Yadav has returned to form, which is good news for Team India. And again, we have bowlers like Jasprit Bumrah. So it's a good combination, a formidable, very strong side, and it's going to be difficult for America to put up even a show. I mean, I'm being generous enough to say, okay, America is going to put up a show. They should actually, but in the end, I mean, we all know it's going to be one-sided game, and I hope it doesn't turn out to be, because it's going to be a worry then for Team India that okay, you've got a scare from America, but an associate nation. But I wouldn't like that. Again, I'm in a I'm going both ways. Whether India dominates it completely, which is obvious, or whether America puts up a show.
Absolutely. So, all right, Sunil, I think that we need to wrap up the cricket edition for now, but I thank Sunil Yashkalra, Rizvi and John for joining us on the broadcast to discuss that. With that, we are moving on to some other stories that are coming in. In a firm stance on India's energy security amid ongoing global queries, the government spokesperson reiterated during the latest press briefing that safeguarding the needs of 1.4 billion Indians remain the absolute top priority. Emphasizing diversification as key, the official stated that India's strategy adapts to real-time market conditions and shifting international landscapes to secure reliable energy sources. All decisions, past and future, will align strictly with this goal, underscoring New Delhi's commitment to energy independence without compromise. So, this is the latest statement that we are getting from the government spokesperson regarding India's energy security amid the ongoing global queries. Let me in fact get in my colleague Shikha Salaria for more on this. Shikha, we are seeing that this is a very firm response from the government spokesperson regarding India's energy security.
Yes, clearly the energy sector and the security part is the biggest talking point in this, in this discussion of, in the aftermath of the India-US trade deal being finalized. And now, clearly, after the joint statement by both the trading blocs has been issued, it is pertinent to note that it underlines several critical points, including the Indian side lowering or eliminating tariffs on crucial products, including agricultural products like sorghum, ghee, etc. And while there are certain segments that the joint statement does not address, and there are segments that the joint statement does not talk about, there is little clarity on those tariffs and how the two trading partners are going to move forward. The spokesperson of the Indian government has said that India's energy sourcing is very important for the country, and the government has stated publicly on several occasions that ensuring the energy security of 1.4 billion Indians is the supreme priority of the government. It has also said that diversifying our energy sourcing in keeping with objective market conditions and evolving international dynamics is at the core of our strategy to ensure this. It has also added that all of India's actions are taken and will be taken with this in mind.
All right, Shikha, thank you so much for all those updates on that front. With that, we are wrapping up this bulletin and slipping into a short commercial.
जब 25 साल के प्रत्युष का किडनी का ऑपरेशन हुआ तो पॉलिसी बाजार की टीम ने हॉस्पिटल पहुंचकर 12 लाख का क्लेम अप्रूव करवाने में पूरी हेल्प की। पॉलिसी बाजार पर 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
MDH का किचन किंग किचन में हो तो हम सब कुछ बना सकते हैं। बैंगन का भरता, आलू गोभी, भिंडी मसाला और भी बहुत कुछ। MDH
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर। MDH गरम मसाला, असली मसालों से भरा हूँ मैं,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
MDH कसूरी मेथी लाजवाब है, लाजवाब है।
स्वाद और सुगंध इसकी
लाजवाब है, लाजवाब है।
अगर MDH कसूरी मेथी नहीं डाला
तो खाली हाथ मलते रह जाओगे।
एक एक पत्ता हाथ से चुना, स्वाद और सुगंध जगाए कई गुना।
आपके घर के खाने में रेस्टोरेंट जैसा स्वाद ले आए MDH का शाही पनीर मसाला। पनीर को क्या मस्त बना डाला।
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Shivani Singh. An Indian Army porter has been injured in an accidental mine blast in the Mankote sector along the line of control in Poonch. According to initial information, the porter reportedly stepped on a mine laid in the area, triggering the explosion. He sustained injuries and was immediately evacuated for medical treatment. Further details about this event are awaited. Let me in fact go across to our Jammu and Kashmir Bureau Chief Ajay Jandyal for more on this. Ajay, we are learning of this incident where an army porter has been injured after he accidentally stepped on a landmine.
This unfortunate incident, tragic incident took place there in the Poonch district. According to information, during the patrolling duty, one of Indian Army Jawan, he stepped upon a landmine over there, which basically was a anti-personnel mine, and immediately after this, he basically stepped on the mine. That mine triggered and resulted into injuries to the Jawan. Immediately, he was evacuated and shifted to the hospital where treatment is going on. But yes, these are the challenging situations for the Jawans, those who are guarding the fence in Jammu and Kashmir. Especially, we know that the area where these patrollings and other things are going on, these are area where there are threats of the infiltration. There are some input with the security agencies that Pakistan want to push in terrorists over here in the Jammu and Kashmir.
All right, thank you so much, Ajay, for joining us on the broadcast with all that. Well, we are tracking the latest updates regarding the India-US interim trade deal, which was announced this week through a joint statement from Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump. This marks a key step in easing trade tensions. The framework slashes US tariffs on many Indian goods to 18% from higher levels, opens market access for select US industrial and agricultural products in India, and protects sensitive sectors like Indian agriculture and dairy. Both leaders hailed it as a win for balanced reciprocal trade, boosting jobs, exports and supply chain resilience, while setting the stage for a fuller bilateral agreement. Reactions have been largely positive but mixed. US media and officials praised it as a pragmatic breakthrough and deal-making success. Analysts see it as constructive for economic ties and strategic realignment, though some note details on full implementation remain pending. In Pakistan, the deal sparked notable frustration and political commentary as well, with media highlighting perceived setbacks in its own US engagement. Meanwhile, globally, markets showed optimism, especially in India, with viewers framing it as a positive signal for trade stability and deeper partnerships amid broader uncertainties. Now, let's take a closer look at the kind of reactions that are coming in globally on this front. And not just that, we will also take a look a more penciled down view of the reactions coming in from Pakistan and Chinese media on the India-US trade deal. Because in India, obviously this is a win-win situation for India and the US, but let's look at how the world is receiving this news of a step forward towards a fuller bilateral trade agreement between India and the US. So let's look at the global media coverage first. We are looking at Reuters. The headline says that India-US unveil interim trade framework, move closer to a broader pact, and they have in fact stated that they are moving closer to a broader trade agreement, India and the US, and they have highlighted that there will be in fact more negotiations to complete this pact. So this is what they have highlighted. They have stated in their first paragraph that they are focusing on energy ties, on reshaping, on deepening the economic cooperation and realigning the global supply chain. So this is how Reuters is looking at the news that's coming in from India and the US. Let's look at how Associated Press actually covered this. Their headline states that India and the US release a framework for an interim trade agreement to reduce the Trump tariffs. So they have in fact mentioned that there were earlier tariffs put in place by the Trump administration, and this deal will seek to reduce that. obviously that has been announced from 50% to 18%, and that's what they are highlighting, that there will be lower tariffs on Indian goods. Obviously, they have also highlighted that the Indian opposition has accused of favoring Washington. Now, the joint statement also has been released. They have mentioned this, and they have also stated that tariffs on goods from India would be lowered to 18% from 25% after they agreed to stop buying Russian oil as per Trump's statement and promises. So, this is how they have highlighted. Let's look at the Wall Street Journal, how they have in fact looked at this coverage. The US, their headline reads, US gives India break on national security tariffs in deal. So, this is a very important point that in fact the Wall Street Journal has highlighted. The national security tariff is something, is a rare thing to get concessions on, and India has in fact gotten access to those concessions on certain aircrafts, on certain automobile parts, and this comes under a special section of the security agreements, and they usually do not allow countries to in fact get concessions in this sector, but India has managed to secure that. So, the Wall Street Journal has highlighted that. Let's look at ABC News. How are they covering this? India and US release framework for an interim trade agreement. This is a simple headline that they have gone with. They have again highlighted how this agreement will lead to lower tariffs on Indian goods, and they have also again said that this comes after US President Donald Trump announced his plan last week to reduce import tariffs on South Asian country 6 months after imposing those steep tariffs of around 50%. So, they have mentioned, they have focused on that reduction of tariff rates from 50% to 18%, because that's one of the main things that India has managed to achieve, and US President Donald Trump has stated that that punitive tariff of 25% has been now let go of, and the reciprocal tariff of 25% has been reduced now to 18%. So, massive boost for exporters. Let's look at The Economist, how they are framing this entire coverage. America and India strike a long awaited trade truce. So, obviously the world had been watching the trade tensions between India and the US, and the Associated Press, in fact The Economist has highlighted how this long awaited trade truce has finally come to fruition, and after months of trade friction, America has finally agreed to slash the tariffs on India. So, that's what they have highlighted, that it was long overdue, much awaited, because exports were hurt over here in India, and we were also looking, when we are looking to diversify, we are looking at more markets. US is one of the biggest markets, so obviously India was also looking forward to reduced tariffs and an open American market. Let's look at DW, how they have in fact covered this. They have written that US-India unveil interim trade deal framework. So, they have highlighted what the framework actually is that has been released, and the deal eases months of tension between Washington and New Delhi over India's purchases of Russian oil, and an additional 25% levy imposed on punishment was also shelved. So, they are in fact highlighting how the punitive tariffs that were put in place of 25% on India for buying Russian oil has now been shelved. It has been let go of. It's a great announcement. It's a win-win for India and the US, and they have highlighted how New Delhi plans to buy about $500 billion worth of US energy goods and aircraft. So, they have also highlighted another aspect of the framework where India has agreed to buy over $500 billion of US goods and US aircrafts, energy goods and aircrafts. Let's look at how the South China Morning Post has covered this news, why the new India-US trade agreement is a big deal. So they have in fact, this is an opinion piece from the South China Morning Post, where they have tried to reason out why this is such a significant deal. And the warming of New Delhi's ties with Washington has implications for Russia, China and the global dynamics of trade and geopolitical power. So they have tried to look into why the geopolitical implications of US and India finally seeing a thaw in their trade relations. Now let's look at how Pakistani media has in fact reacted to this news coming in. Dawn has said that US and India unveil interim trade framework, move closer to a broad pact. And they have in fact in their first paragraph shared that this would help lower tariffs in India, reshape the energy ties between both the nations and deepen economic cooperations as both the countries seek to realign global supply chains. They have also mentioned something about halting of purchases of Russian oil, which Donald Trump had made a statement when he had announced this entire deal. Dawn has also another article on this where they have stated that Trump's India trade pact to make a big dent in Russian oil revenue. So they have in fact picked up the Russian oil segment of this entire trade agreement, and they have said that this will make a big dent on the Russian oil revenue, and Russia faces a steep drop in oil income if United States President Donald Trump successfully pressures India to stop importing Russian crude oil, because it's losing its top purchaser of seaborne exports, which would force Moscow to even slash the prices further or buy or look for new buyers. So this is what Pakistan is focusing on. They are saying that Russia will have to find new buyers, they'll have to find people to sell their oil to, they'll have to reduce the prices if the US pressurizes India to actually stop buying Russian oil. Let's look at Dunya, which is another media platform in Pakistan. They have stated that India-US set March deadline for major trade deals. So they have gone with the deadline aspect of this deal. They have mentioned that March is the deadline for this trade deal. And we also have another Pakistani media which has reported that the US-India trade reset, they are looking at a reset, how 18% tariff reshapes Pakistan's economic and strategic space. So they have focused on how this trade reset between India and US will shape Pakistan's economic interests. We also have some Chinese media reactions where India's opposition leaders are saying that US-India trade deal against farmers' interests. So China is focusing on the opposition and what they have to say about this deal. So they are focusing on the criticism of the deal. My News is stating that why the new US-India trade agreement is a big deal. So they are focusing on its significance, on its implications, on its impact, and how this will actually lead to India buying Venezuelan oil or US oil. We also have China Daily, which has said that tariffs cut as India-US ink deal. So they have gone with a simple headline. They have mentioned the details of how it's gone to 18% the tariff reduction. It has also mentioned the past where there was a 50% tariff rate on India, and how India would now buy oil from the US and potentially Venezuela. So all these points have been covered by China Daily. So this is something that has been, how the global media is actually reacting to it. India, obviously, it's a win for India, it's a win for the US. Let's in fact discuss this further with Ambassador Sushil Singhal, former diplomat, and Shruti Dasgupta, foreign affairs expert. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. We appreciate your time. If I can go across to Ambassador Singhal first on this. Ambassador, when we're looking at this entire trade deal, obviously The framework has now been released, and slowly and steadily we'll get more details that are coming out. The Indian government has made sure to protect its red lines, its dairy sector, its agriculture. We are looking at a lot of opportunities opening up. But when we look at these reactions that are coming in, various media organizations in various countries are focusing on different bits. Some on Russian oil, some on US pressure, some looking at the trade deal which will be finalized in March. How are you looking at this deal, sir?
Well, Shivani, it's a very interesting what you said, that every country or media outlets in foreign countries are reacting. They're picking up a piece and then weaving a story around it, so suit their narrative. So will not give them much credence, be it Chinese media or be it Western media or Pakistani media for that matter. The truth is that this deal was under discussion for a long time. And India, as we all know, has been resisting the demands of unreasonable, I would call them unreasonable demand of USA to give them red carpet the way some few of other countries have given. And India being patient has been rewarded, I would say, because we didn't react to provocations from the very administration officials. They were giving very provocative statements. India worked slow and steady with the back channel diplomacy. And the result is the deal which we see. If you look at the various components, of course, they're very sketchy at this moment because, as we said, this is an interim. And by March, we expect the BTA to be signed. And then there will be more negotiation, as even the statement also says that. The main important point, I would say, unlike many other countries who have agreed to make investment in USA, India has not agreed to that. What we have said that we'll buy from USA, we were buying in any case, be it energy, coking coal, or aircrafts. Boeing, is the largest supplier to India. So I don't see, and we have promised over a 5-year, 500 billion, means on an average $100 billion purchases. So India's trade in any case is in that range. Their imports are in the same range. So I don't see, in my view, it's optics to keep them happy. Nobody is reading that. Nobody is looking at the figures. And India, as we have been saying, that we will buy oil or other things as it suits us. If India cannot refine, Indian refinery cannot use the oil of a particular country, we cannot use it. Simple. It's a business. So people are not realizing that what are the fine prints and what we have done. We have agreed, we were talking about the NTBs for a long time. Standards, we were talking about a long time. And I think this gives an opening to us. Because USA, we have, it's a very difficult market to penetrate because of the standards and various NTBs. So now the USA is admitting itself that we want to talk to you, which we were trying. Now they will talk to us. So I think the access becomes better. And of course, it's a two-way street. There's no doubt about it. It cannot be that we can keep demanding things. USA requires access to us, and I think it's beneficial to us. And we are talking of the cooperation in joint development of the technologies, which we are asking. We were doing in any case with them. So what is saying is reiterating what India and USA were already doing. So when we look at where we are going to benefit, our labor-intensive industry or the sectors were affected because of this imposition of the taxes. They are the one first who are getting the immediate relief, actually, which we wanted them to get. And pharmaceutical and others, they were not really affected. There's, of course, some investigation going on, which they said once it's concluded, we'll agree. So I find this is a win-win, and they're talking about the GPUs purchased by India. We wanted to buy because America is the only country which are producing these GPUs. And in fact, they are the one who are restricting, limiting the numbers they will export to us. So now they themselves want to export to us. So I don't see any harm. I think it's a very, very clever agreement, I would say, that what we were looking for, we were asking from USA, we are getting. They want to develop technologies with us, which we are happy to do. We already have the agreement with them. So in any area, I find rule of origin, we also wanted to talk about it because we also want that only the American companies, not their neighbors, should export through USA to us. We also want the same way. So I don't see anywhere in this deal that we are going to lose. In fact, it's going to serve our long-term objective in my view. And also get a better market access. There will be now some certainty. Hopefully, the Trump administration now will not tweak too much. And the 18% we have already absorbed. As I understand that, our industry was ready up to 25%. They had enough, understanding. So now it is coming from 15% to 18%. So I think that is very much bearable by us. And as some other, Pakistani and other are cribbing about now, that they got a 19%, you got 18%, despite the fact that Pakistan we all know, I don't have to go into those details, what Pakistan did to achieve that 19%. We didn't do anything of those sort. So we stood our ground, and I think it clearly shows how to deal. It gives a roadmap, I think, to everybody, including the Western countries, how to deal with this administration. And keep the your red lines, and then they will fall in line.
Absolutely. In fact, let me also rope in Shruti Das Gupta into this discussion. Ma'am, when we're looking at this, those various reactions, one thing that stood out as an observation is Wall Street Journal has mentioned this national security clause that we have managed to breach, the Section 232. India has managed to get that rare concession regarding aircrafts, regarding automobile parts. How are you looking at this entire deal per se?
So USA has a very protectionist attitude towards aluminium, steel and copper related products, specifically in defense industries or the aviation industry. And this is a fight that India has been fighting since 2019, and we've lodged a case in the World Trade Organization. We've not found resolution to it till date. We keep going back and forth in arguments, but we don't find resolution to it. The fact that this interim framework is allowing, if not completely, a part of it to come through, that shows that the USA understands that this kind of protectionist attitude is reciprocated by other nations also, where they start tightening up their belts on what is crucial to to USA's survival. So them letting this go puts us, we lost the most favored nation tag, which gave us around the 2 to 4% tariff rates that were happening pre-Trump 2.0 era. But we get with this breaching of the Section 232, we've gained the affiliated partner and the kind of tag with USA, which shows that USA wants to progress. It identifies that India is a place where critical minerals, where the future of aviation probably will be, deaf tech will probably be, AI will be, and it wants to grow with India rather than have it isolated due to such protectionist clauses. So when they say that India has breached this, I'm glad that we were able to, and this was not done overnight. This is a longer fight that we've been fighting with them, and it is not just because of this interim deal. We've also diversified our supply chains by the number of deals that we've made since Trump 2.0 came into power. So we made a number of deals right across from Mercosur to MENA markets to every other place that we could get access to these particular resources. So India has become an effective supplier and a producer of goods that would help USA strengthen its own industry. If you can get it cheaper, you produce it cheaper forward also. So for me, I feel that this is good for India. It shows India is a reliable partner. If USA trusts it, then so can you. It's a kind of stamp of approval that comes through. And it is not an overnight job. They've been working at it. And I'm glad that the team could get it out in this particular interim framework only.
Absolutely. And ma'am, how do you also look at the overall framework? Because India has managed to protect its agricultural sector, it's managed to protect its sensitive products as well. It seems to be a big win after coming close on the heels of the EU FTA, the New Zealand FTA, the Oman FTA. We seem to be making sure that even though we are diversifying, we are opening our markets, we are also opening up our country to more opportunities without affecting our sensitive sectors.
You're absolutely correct in framing it that particular way, because we've made sure that our products get exposure to market in all those deals that we've been making. We also ensure that any of those supply chain lines that we are establishing through these various deals help us get access to raw materials that help our manufacturing industry. So in a way, all the deals that we've made benefit India in the longer run as well as the shorter run. And this particular interim framework, because the bilateral trade agreement is yet to come in March, along with the others, show that it is a very balanced framework that India is working with. Its diplomats know which sectors are vulnerable, which sectors will be impacted. They cannot afford to offend a 40% population which depends on agricultural sector. They have riots on the streets. Just for 3 farm laws, we had riots on the streets, and those particular farm laws were for the benefit of the farmers, which they're now asking for in just a few rearrangement of the same words. So just laws can have the farmers on the street and have a lot of issues for the ruling regime. So they know that, so they've been very careful on how the agreements are worded. Even this particular agreement of the 500 billion in the next 5 years, it is an intent to purchase. You need to understand that USA is doing what it does best under Trump. It's doing its Trumpism, but India is doing best what it does under Modi, which is being very, very careful about every word that comes out of the government sources. So it's an intent to purchase, not a commitment to purchase. So we are going to try and reach the 500 billion mark, but we may fall short of it depending on what the various vagaries of the market that happens. So it is just like before. We've been very sure on what we want from the deal. We've gone after it. We've made concessions, but that is also looking at market sources, even in the terms of Russian oil, etc. We know that the Russian oil sweet deal was not a forever thing. It was as long as the war was on, where we got the $10 per barrel benefit of a discount. When the peace deal is reached for Ukraine, Russia is going to ramp up the prices again. It's not going to be as favorable for us to buy from Russia again. So to diversify our supply lines was something that we already did. You covered it yourself, I think. In 2019, we were already buying from Venezuela.
Absolutely.
It was the US sanctions that put us down.
Absolutely. In fact, that's all the time that we have, unfortunately, for this discussion. I thank Ms. Shruti Dasgupta and Ambassador Singhal for joining us on the broadcast. With that, we are wrapping up this bulletin.
जो भी पके ऐसा पके जहाँ भी हो जो खींचा चलाए मिठी दिल हो या पुलियो गिरे वांगी भात हो या पोड़ी मसाला रस पाउडर या सांभर मसाला असली मसाले सच सच MDH
समान नागरिक संहिता हमारी बेटियां माता और बहनों के गरिमापूर्ण जीवन का आधार बने। यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड से लोकतंत्र की स्पिरिट को मजबूती मिलेगी, संविधान की भावना मजबूत होगी, किसी से भेदभाव नहीं, हर कोई बराबर।
प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की दूरदर्शी प्रेरणा और मुख्यमंत्री श्री पुष्कर सिंह धामी जी के सशक्त नेतृत्व में उत्तराखंड ने इतिहास रचते हुए देश का पहला राज्य बनने का गौरव प्राप्त किया, जहां समान नागरिक संहिता यानी यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड को प्रभावी रूप से लागू किया गया है। ये पहल राज्य में संवैधानिक मूल्यों को सुदृढ़ करते हुए समानता, सामाजिक समरसता और महिला सशक्तिकरण की दिशा में एक दूरदर्शी और प्रभावी कदम के रूप में स्थापित हुई है। इस ऐतिहासिक कानून के सफल क्रियान्वयन का 1 वर्ष पूर्ण होने पर उत्तराखंड सुशासन, समान अधिकार और जन विश्वास की उस यात्रा का उत्सव मना रहा है जो एक संकल्प से शुरू होकर अब एक व्यवस्था में परिवर्तित हो गई है। इस पहल की नींव मुख्यमंत्री श्री पुष्कर सिंह धामी जी द्वारा 12 फरवरी 2022 के राज्य विधानसभा चुनावों में जनता से किए गए उस ऐतिहासिक संकल्प से प्रारंभ हुई, जिसे पूरा करने की दिशा में 24 मार्च 2022 को नवगठित सरकार की प्रथम कैबिनेट बैठक में विशेषज्ञ समिति के गठन का निर्णय लिया गया। समिति ने प्रदेश भर में व्यापक संवाद करते हुए नागरिकों से लाखों सुझाव प्राप्त किए और 2 फरवरी 2024 को अपनी विस्तृत रिपोर्ट सरकार को प्रस्तुत की। इसके आधार पर 12 मार्च 2024 को यूसीसी उत्तराखंड अधिनियम 2024 को विधिक स्वीकृति प्रदान की गई और 27 जनवरी 2025 को नियमावली के प्रभावी होने के साथ ये कानून प्रशासनिक और डिजिटल दोनों स्तरों पर पूर्णतः लागू हुआ। इस अधिनियम के अंतर्गत विवाह, वसीयत, तलाक, लिव इन रिलेशनशिप तथा विधिक उत्तराधिकारी घोषणाओं से संबंधित प्रावधानों में सभी नागरिकों के लिए समान और न्याय संगत व्यवस्था सुनिश्चित की गई है। साथ ही महिलाओं के अधिकारों और वरिष्ठ नागरिकों के हितों के संरक्षण पर विशेष ध्यान दिया गया है, जिससे इसकी सार्वभौमिक स्वीकार्यता, प्रशासनिक दक्षता और जन विश्वास को नई मजबूती मिली है। कानून के सफल क्रियान्वयन हेतु 10 दिनों से भी कम समय में 8,500 से अधिक अधिकारियों तथा 7,500 से अधिक कॉमन सर्विस सेंटर संचालकों को प्रशिक्षित किया गया है। इसके साथ ही सहायता एवं तकनीकी परामर्श के लिए राज्यव्यापी मॉक ड्रिल का सफल आयोजन किया गया। इसके परिणाम स्वरूप एक वर्ष में राज्य पोर्टल पर लगभग 5 लाख आवेदन प्राप्त हुए, जिनमें से 96% का औसतन 5 दिनों से भी कम समय में निस्तारण हुआ। पंजीकरण की गति में उल्लेखनीय वृद्धि हुई है, जहां प्रतिदिन औसतन 1400 से अधिक पंजीकरण दर्ज किए जा रहे हैं। संवेदनशील एवं उत्तरदायी शासन का परिचय देते हुए सरकार ने जनता की आवश्यकताओं के अनुरूप नियमों में समय समय पर आवश्यक संशोधन भी किए, जिससे यूसीसी कानून को और अधिक समावेशी, व्यवहारिक तथा जनहितकारी स्वरूप प्रदान किया जा सके। विकसित भारत 2047 के विजन के अनुरूप विकसित उत्तराखंड की दिशा में समान नागरिक संहिता एक महत्वपूर्ण पहल है, जो समानता और न्याय को प्रशासनिक प्रक्रियाओं में व्यवस्थित रूप से समाहित कर रही है। समान नागरिक संहिता, समानता द्वारा समरसता।
The visuals on your screen show the shattered gates of a Shiite mosque in Pakistan's capital of Islamabad. These images capture the sheer force of the blast that tore through the site, claiming the lives of more than 31 people and leaving close to 80 others injured. In the next set of visuals, the human cost becomes unmistakably clear. Worshippers who had gathered for Friday prayers were caught in the explosion, bearing the brunt of the attack. What should have been a moment of faith and reflection was violently interrupted as the targeted strike in fact turned the mosque into a place marked by blood, panic as well as devastation. A powerful explosion ripping through a residential neighborhood in Islamabad, shattering buildings and plunging the area into chaos. According to Pakistani police, the blast struck a Shiite mosque at the height of Friday prayers, triggering scenes of confusion and terror as injured victims cried for help and survivors scrambled to escape. In moments, a place of worship was transformed into a scene of chaos, fear and widespread destruction. Welcome to another episode of Deep Dive. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. Today we will uncover all that happened at the Shiite mosque in Islamabad's capital. Pakistan's capital, of course, Islamabad, has been rocked by this blast. It has led to the loss of innocent lives. This explosion taking place at the Imam Bargah Khadijat ul Kubra, a Shiite place of worship located in the Tadla area of Shehzad town on the outskirts of Islamabad. Friday prayers, known as Jummah prayers, are the most important weekly congregation in Islam, and at the time of the blast, the mosque was crowded with worshippers who had gathered for the sermon and communal prayers. Witnesses say the sound of the explosion was deafening. Windows shattered instantly, parts of the structure were damaged, and people were thrown to the ground by the force of the blast. In the seconds that followed, panic swept through the mosque as survivors rushed to escape, carrying the injured and calling out for relatives amidst smoke, debris and confusion. Police officials say the blast was caused by a suicide bomber. According to initial findings, the attacker attempted to enter the mosque but was stopped near the entrance, possibly by volunteer guards or security personnel stationed there. It was at that point that the attacker detonated the explosive device. Investigators believe the decision to trigger the blast at the entrance may have prevented even higher casualties inside the main prayer hall, where dozens more worshippers were gathered. Even so, the impact was devastating. Shrapnel and blast pressure caused severe injuries to those standing near the entrance, and several people inside the mosque were wounded when the force of the explosion traveled through the structure. Emergency sirens soon echoed through the neighborhood as police, ambulances, rescue teams and paramilitary forces rushed to the scene. The area was immediately sealed off and bomb disposal squads were deployed to check for secondary devices, a standard precaution following such attacks. The attack occurred in Shehzad Town, a residential locality that lies on the outskirts of Islamabad. The Tarlai area is known for its mix of urban development and village settlements and sits along key routes connecting the capital to surrounding districts and Rawalpindi. While parts of the area are quieter compared to the heart of the capital, it remains firmly within Islamabad's jurisdiction. Islamabad is considered one of Pakistan's most secure cities, housing government buildings, foreign embassies and major security installations. Large-scale terrorist attacks in the capital have been far less frequent in recent years compared to regions such as Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or Balochistan. That reality has made this attack particularly alarming, underlining concerns that militant violence is once again creeping into areas once considered relatively safe. According to police, 15 people have been confirmed dead so far. More than 80 others were injured in the blast. Many of the wounded suffered serious injuries, including burns, shrapnel wounds and fractures caused by the force of the explosion. The injured were transported to major hospitals across Islamabad, including the Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences, Polyclinic Hospital and CDA Hospital. Medical facilities declared emergency status as doctors, nurses and trauma specialists were called in to deal with the sudden influx of patients. Some critically injured victims were later shifted to hospitals in Rawalpindi to ease pressure on Islamabad's medical system. Doctors have said that several patients remain in critical condition, and authorities have warned that the death toll could change as treatment continues. Blood donation appeals were issued as hospitals work to stabilize the injured. Security agencies say a full investigation is now underway, with forensic teams examining the explosives used and intelligence officials attempting to trace the attackers' movements and possible connections. The bombing comes at a time when Pakistan is already facing multiple security challenges, including increased militant activity in certain regions, political uncertainty and economic pressure. Incidents like this place additional strain on the state's security apparatus and raise questions about intelligence gaps and preventive measures. For the residents of Shehzad Town, the blast has left a deep scar. A neighborhood accustomed to everyday routines was suddenly transformed into the center of a deadly attack for worshippers across Islamabad. The incident has also shaken the sense of safety associated with religious spaces. As investigations continue, authorities say their focus remains on identifying those responsible, dismantling any networks involved and preventing further attacks. Meanwhile, families mourn those who lost their lives. Hospitals continue to treat the wounded, and a nation once again confronts the human cost of extremist violence. Major General Sudhakarji, geopolitical analyst, is live with us on the broadcast. Major General Sudhakarji, what do you make of this explosion? Who possibly is behind it, and the intended objective?
Good evening, Uday. Thank you for getting me for your show. And my take on the whole issue is that today Pakistan is rife with terrorist activities, homegrown terrorist activities, and particularly towards Islamabad side. This is the capital city which hasn't witnessed far too many, but my mind goes back to 2008 when the Marriott Hotel was attacked by terrorists. They had good number of casualties, 62 I think killed, almost 252 were injured. And the latest one was in November when in front of the court there was a kind of a blast wherein I think 12 or 15 people died and good number were injured. So my assessment when I joined the dots, it comes to following options. First and foremost, it could have been done by the Tehrik-Taliban Pakistan. But if Tehrik-Taliban Pakistan has done it, then it is a departure from the stated policy of Tehrik-Taliban. Departure means they had, first demand was they will not accept the Duran line. Second is that they will run a parallel government. And third is that the expansion or application of the Sharia law. These are the three. there are far and few attacks by Tehrik Taliban Pakistan against the Shiite Muslim mosques. And if it has happened, then perhaps this could be an exception, not as a rule. Second is by the ISIS Khorasan. ISIS Khorasan has been provided sanctuary by Pakistan, ISI particularly, and they have been given the staging camps and also the logistic bases inside Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, lower sides of the Pakhtunkhwa, as also part of Punjab. So quite possible they have done it in the past in Afghanistan. They could possibly have done it, and intent is very difficult to decipher. The third and most important thing which is coming to my mind could be a false flag operation orchestrated by ISI. ISI in the past, when you study the ISI pattern of activities for past 25, 30 odd years, they have conducted similar kind of terrorist attacks. Call it by any name, but generally it is known as false flag operations, so as to galvanize people, the majority of the population of Pakistan being Sunnis, to keep them together. Because Sunni Muslims within Pakistan itself, they have shown signs of very serious fault lines. There is a intra-religion divide taking place gradually, despite the integrated approach and the philosophy they enjoy. So this possibly is one of the options which is emerging. What could be the intent? The intent at the moment is again very difficult to decipher. Maybe the people of Pakistan are getting divided. If you look into the military, the constitution is falling apart with Munir, Field Marshal Munir have been rested with all the powers under his finger, be it the Nuclear Command Authority or the Army, Navy, Air Force, or the adjudication or appointment of judges, and creating a constitutional court that is running parallel to the Supreme Court, thereby marginalizing the Supreme Court itself. Non-existence of worthwhile media or any kind of pillars, the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, they are almost ineffective. So under these circumstances, perhaps this is an act to bring the people of Pakistan together, but again it is too premature. But everything has to be seen from the lens of what is happening in the neighborhood, particularly Iran. Iran is a Shia-dominated state. There are Delta Force troops who are already deployed along the border between Pakistan and Iran. Around, I think, length is around 902 kilometers. There are also attack helicopters poised to fly into Iran, and Mossad is operating along with the Delta Force. Some of the Mossad in large number, they are already inside Iran, close to Tehran. From the border, it's a distance of 1600 kilometers. This could be a kind of a curtain raiser or precursor to a major activity likely being planned against a Shia Muslim in Iran. This could be a very, very far-fetched kind of a assessment. So therefore, too premature to say anything. Back to you there.
And what do you make also of the location chosen for the explosion as well? Obviously, the attempt was as many casualties as possible. What do you make of the location chosen? Also the fact that it happened on Friday prayers day?
Yeah, this is what, this is basically to, how does it actually impact? It impacts in bringing in widening the divide between Shia and Sunni Muslim. So the Shia being a minority in Pakistan, if this divide takes place, then it is going to have a ripple effect along the adjoining countries or the immediate neighborhood. Neighborhood is Iran. Now, coming to your specific question, pointed question, what does it indicate taking place in Islamabad? Basically, whoever has done it is trying to convey a message that everything is not normal in the capital of Pakistan. It is fraught with lots of what do you say, discrimination between the divide which is existing between the minorities and the majorities. Number two is that Islamabad is going through a situation where the law and order is not stable, and therefore it has to be looked at with suspicion. And why am I saying this, Uday, is that be mindful of the fact that there is a FATF meeting taking place. It is already in progress in Mexico. this meeting is already considering examining all kinds of activities taking place in Pakistan, particularly the sponsored transborder activities of terrorists. So this factor also could be a kind of a stage-managed orchestration by some of the parties which could be trying to project Pakistan having lost control over its law and order, despite the fact that Field Marshal Munir has taken control of the administration directly or indirectly. Civil government is ineffective in any case. This FATF thing is actually striking my mind because this is the ideal case to project to the international organization, whether it is Shia mosque or any other mosque taking place, that things are not normal in Pakistan. It is the same ground which has been nurturing the snake to attack the neighborhood. And like Hillary Clinton in 2013 reminded Pakistanis that don't ever think that the snake that you are nurturing in your backyard meant to attack or bite the neighbor will not come back and bite you. I think it is that biting which is reminding Pakistan, and it's going to have a greater say as far as the international agencies are. Back to you, please.
All right, Major General Sudhakar ji, appreciate you joining us with your perspective on this segment.
यार सोच रहा हूँ पॉलिसी बाजार से टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस ले लेता हूँ ताकि मेरे बाद फैमिली को पैसों की कमी ना है। तू भी ले ले।
यार अभी तो यंग है यार, बाद में देखते हैं। आजा चल।
पॉलिसी बाजार पर 0 GST के साथ अब 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 400 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX Deep Dive. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. The visuals on your screen are enough to convey the expansive nature of the tragedy that has hit Meghalaya. We are talking about the deadliest mine blasts in the state, where most of the deceased were laborers in this incident from Assam. At least 19 people are dead, 8 are injured after an explosion at an illegally operating rat hole coal mine in Meghalaya's East Jaintia Hills district. The blast was so powerful that the victims' identities cannot yet be established. The blast occurred on morning of February 5th in the Thangshu area, a remote and poorly connected region known for illegal coal mining activity. Police say the mine was operating in violation of existing court orders and without any safety clearances. 2 people identified by police as the owners of the mine have been arrested. Rescue operations continue with teams from the National Disaster Response Force, State Disaster Response Force and a special rescue unit deployed at the site. One worker who suffered severe burn injuries is currently undergoing treatment in Shillong. The location of the mine has significantly complicated rescue operations. The site is around 25 kilometers from the district headquarters, but due to lack of road infrastructure and difficult terrain, it takes nearly 3 hours to reach. The final stretch is accessible only by 4-wheel drive vehicles. This remoteness is one of the reasons illegal mining continues to flourish in the region. According to officials involved in the rescue, the physical structure of the mine poses extreme risks both for miners and for those trying to save them. Anurag Kumar Singh, an inspector with the NDRF, has said the mine has a central vertical pit more than 100 feet deep. From the base of this pit, 3 narrow rat holes branch out horizontally. Miners enter these tunnels to extract coal manually. At a depth of around 50 feet, water is seeping through the walls, causing mud to fall down into the pit. At the bottom, one of the rat holes is already filled with water, making it impossible for rescue teams to proceed further in that direction. The other 2 tunnels have been searched up to 25 feet inside, but rescuers say the problem is that each of these tunnels branches into several smaller rat holes extending in multiple directions. The dimensions of these tunnels are extremely constricted, only 2 feet high and 3 feet wide, leaving rescuers with no option but to crawl. These conditions also explain why rat hole mining is considered one of the most dangerous forms of coal extraction. Let's understand more about this form of coal extraction. Rat hole mining is a manual method of coal extraction practiced primarily in parts of northeast India, especially Meghalaya. Workers dig narrow, unreinforced tunnels into coal seams, often without protective gear, ventilation or emergency exit routes. There are 2 common methods. The side cutting method, where miners dig horizontal holes along tunnels along coal seams visible on hill slopes, and the box cutting method, where a pit sometimes several hundred feet deep is dug vertically and rat holes are cut from the base. This practice was banned by the National Green Tribunal, and the ban was subsequently upheld by the Supreme Court. Despite this, illegal rat hole mines continue to operate across Meghalaya. East Jaintia Hills in particular has been a repeat site of fatal mining accidents over the years. In response to the latest incident, the Meghalaya High Court has taken suo motu cognizance of media reports on the blast. A division bench comprising Justice Thangchiu and Justice Dingdo have expressed serious concerns that illegal mining activities were still being carried out despite previous fatal incidents and clear court orders prohibiting such operations. The court has ordered the immediate seizure of all machinery, documents and materials connected to the illegal mining operation. It has also summoned the Deputy Commissioner and Superintendent of Police of East Jaintia Hills to appear in person on the 9th of February. The officials have been directed to submit a detailed report on the action taken so far, including arrests made, equipment seized and measures put in place to prevent the continuation of illegal mining. Chief Minister Conrad Sangma has also announced a comprehensive inquiry into the accident and an ex-gratia of 3 lakh rupees for the next of kin of each deceased worker. Assam has also announced 5 lakhs as ex-gratia and PMO has announced 2 lakh rupees from the PM-NRF fund. Listen into what the Meghalaya CM had to say.
It takes about approximately 3 hours to reach from the headquarter. Very difficult terrain, and it can be only accessed by 4x4 wheel. From the government side, we have asked 2 of our cabinet ministers, Mr. Lakman Rumbui and Mr. Vailat Mikishila, to go to the district as well as to work their way and reach the site, meet the officials and have a detailed discussion and meeting, and take necessary action which has to be taken. And
this blast has once again brought into sharp focus the question of why illegal rat hole mining continues. Despite court bans, despite past tragedies and despite the human cost for the families of the 18 workers who died, the questions are more immediate and far more personal. Why were these mines still running? Who allowed them to operate? And will this time be any different? RVS Mani, former Under Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, is joining us for more on this story. RVS Mani, this is of course a very sad incident, but what makes this shocking is that this was happening illegally against court directives and against the law of the land.
Indeed, it is very unfortunate, and so many lives have been lost. And rat hole mining is happening. It is happening under the nose of the state government. All of these are questions. But how do they circumvent the law? I have known cases of many places where the mining, it's not shown as mining, because Mines Act is basically administrative, the domain of the state, and state government's domain, it has to be, they clear their license and all. But even in that part of the state, they also say different ways, like calcination of coal, refining of coal refinery, coal washery. That is the front line which is shown, and ultimately a rat hole line is needed. These have been there. We have dealt with it for 30 or 40 years back also. It has been happening. Open cast mines are the right way. Underground mines in our Jharkhand area is doing very well. There is not much, a lot of it. Thirdly, the Directorate General of Mine Safety under the Labour Ministry is a specifically empowered body to ensure this safety of the miners and the miners' safety. How much they reach out to these rat hole mines, what is the audit conducted, that is not known, because as it said, it is a very inaccessible, challenging terrain to reach out to that, to check the implement, to check the miners' safety regulations. Firstly, the rat hole mines' existence itself is illegal. NGT, Supreme Court, everybody has said that. Having said that, are they licensed as rat hole mines? I do not think so, because earlier also some places are there. These are all the substantive issues relating to the mines. Moreover, the northeast, especially the region where it is happening, is extremely sensitive region, and are these mines being run and the proceeds taken out in some other way to some other hands is a very, very suspicious situation. That is the second part. The security and the national imperatives have also to be examined. Since this has come to light, the two parties, the existence of mine itself, per se, what are all the ramifications, how did they run, whether it was running as a proper mine licensed by the state government, or was it running as an accessory like a coal washery, coal refinery, coal calculations. There are so many downstream processes are there where they get the license and actually do this type of rat hole minings. This is a fact that we have checked it on many times. Having said that, this is one part of the story, and number two is the national security or the security ramification in such a sensitive area. Whether the the unscrupulous owners of the mine were doing something more than making profit out of it, sending the proceeds of revenue to some unfortunate things against the country. That is the second part, because it's a very, very sensitive area. We have just concluded a wonderful, we have a democratic government just formed 2 days back before in Manipur. So immediately after that, this is occurring. Was it a sabotage? Was it a deliberate accident? Or it was sheer a safety failure? Or it was always waiting to happen? It was an accident waiting to happen. These are the larger things which needs to be addressed at the larger level. So I am sure the Meghalaya Chief Minister has expressed his concern. The Government of India will, Mines Minister or the Coal Minister will also get into this thick of things with a representative of the security agency, so that we get a larger picture into this. That is what is very unfortunate, that in spite such a sensitive area, it is not a single rat hole mine. There are quite a few rat hole mines. Not now, earlier also, and incidentally they mine out coke, very high quality, high calorific value coal also, which is very well priced in those areas. Meghalaya, Margarita and other places have, Jaintia Hills also, lot of coal deposit. But why not did we go through the proper, formal, conventional open cast mines or underground mines? Why do we have to go these type of unscrupulous?
Yes.
Absolutely,
and immediately now steps need to be taken. I think the secretary has been summoned. Also, the SP of the area or the deputy secretary has been summoned. Immediate action needs to be taken, and court monitored action.
Perfectly right. We need to go for why are the rat holes allowed to mushroom around the Meghalaya and those areas? And it's a very sensitive area, inaccessible area. The relief cannot reach fast. The reliefs cannot be rushed into fast. Accessibility is a challenge there. See, it is because of terrain, because of weather conditions, everything is held out against them. And there it is happening. It is unfortunate. I'm sure it's a red flag for us. We need to be reinforcing our steps to ensure that these mines are abolished, they're taken out from the map, convert them to open cast mines. There is nothing wrong in that. So, but I know it is cost intensive, the entrepreneurs may not like it, but some sort of NetFIC and others can always give the capital intensive funding to convert it into proper net. I do not think the refinery is exempted from the NetFIC agenda, so I think it can be done again. The subsidies, of course, they don't, but natural plantations and refineries are very much a part of NetFIC financing.
Yes.
SIDBI financing can come, and that type of mining also special financing can be made, and it can be.
I'm afraid we've run totally out of time. RVS Mani, thank you for joining us with your perspective.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
जो भी पके ऐसा पके जहाँ भी हो जो खींचा चलाए मीठी दिल हो या पुलियो गिरे वांगी भात हो या पोड़ी मसाला रस पाउडर या सांभर मसाला असली मसाले सच सच MDH
On February 6, 2026, during crowded Friday prayers, a suicide bomber struck the Khadijatul Kubra Mosque, a Shia place of worship on Islamabad's outskirts. The attacker approached the gates, reportedly opened fire on security guards who tried to stop him, then detonated his explosive vest near the entrance or inner area. The explosion killed at least 31 people, including worshippers, some children, and injured 169 others, many critically. Hospitals declared emergencies and the death toll was feared to rise in early reports. This wasn't just another blast in Pakistan's volatile border regions. It hit the heavily guarded, secured capital. The second major attack there in recent months after a November 2025 courthouse bombing that killed 12. It marked a worrying sign that militant violence is creeping closer to the heart of the power. Hello and welcome to Deep Dive by NewsX with me, Shivani Singh, and today we decode the man who bombed the Khadijatul Kubra Mosque in Islamabad. Pakistan's government and officials were quick to point fingers externally. Defence Minister Khwaja Muhammad Asif and others suggested links to Indian-backed proxies of foreign elements, with some early speculation tying it to the Baloch Liberation Army or the BLA, or even Afghan involvement. There were also claims that the bomber was Afghan or had ties across the border, echoing past patterns where Pakistan blames neighbours like India or Afghanistan for sponsoring terrorism to deflect from domestic issues. Some initial media and social reports speculated TTP or Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan links, given the group's resurgence and attacks in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. Pakistan has long accused foreign powers of using militants as proxies in a hybrid war. The most concrete claim came from the Islamic State or ISIS group. Within hours to a day, ISIS's affiliate, often called the Islamic State in Khorasan province, released statements via its Amaq news agencies and telegram channels. They explicitly took responsibility, describing the attacker as one of their fighters who shot at the guards before detonating his vest among the worshippers. They included details matching official accounts, the gate confrontation, and warned of more to come. Now, multiple credible outlets, the BBC, Reuters, Al Jazeera, the New York Times, NHK and others, confirmed that the ISIS has claimed, and based on monitoring the jihadist channels. Site intelligence group which tasked such statements verified it too. ISIS has a history of targeting Shia communities, viewing them as apostates, and has carried out similar mosque attacks in Pakistan and in Afghanistan. No other group has credibly claimed it. Early TTP speculation faded, and Pakistan's external blame to India and its proxies, that was rejected outright by New Delhi as baseless. Afghanistan condemned the attack without admitting any link. Now, investigations are ongoing, but police and officials describe it as a suicide bombing by a single perpetrator stopped at the gates. The mosque location further out, possibly chosen opportunistically due to tighter security in central Islamabad during a foreign dignitary visit, aligns with ISIS's pattern of hitting softer targets. Pakistan has seen a huge surge in militancy since the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan in 2021. The TTP has escalated attacks. ISIS Khorasan remains active against Shia and others, and sectarian violence persists. Islamabad was long seen as insulated, but incidents like this and the 2025 court blast show cracks in that security bubble. The attack highlights ongoing failures in counter-terrorism, porous borders, intelligence gaps, and the blowback from past policies. It also fuels domestic grief. Thousands mourn the victims the next day under heavy security and international concern, with the UN Secretary General condemning it and calling for accountability. This bombing isn't just numbers. 31 lives lost in a place of peace. Families shattered during prayer. While Pakistan pushes external blame, the evidence points squarely to ISIS, a group thriving on chaos across the region. Until the root causes of militancy are addressed, these horrors risk repeating. And the footage that we opened with, it's a grim reminder that terrorism doesn't respect borders or sects or capitals. Stay vigilant, demand truth over spin. Let's in fact rope in Major General Sudhakarji, who's a senior geopolitical and strategic defense expert on this. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, Major General Sudhakarji. We'd like to understand, we now know the identity of this bomber. ISIS has claimed responsibility for it. Earlier, Pakistan was pointing fingers externally like they always do, where they were pointing towards Afghanistan, they were pointing towards India. But now we have a credible picture. It's the ISIS targeting Shias in the heart, in the capital of Pakistan.
Shivani, good evening. Thank you for inviting me for your show. It's a question which actually has been leaving the experts on the subject rather perplexed. As far as I am concerned, when I joined the dots, till yesterday, the fingers or the orientation was not pointing towards ISIS Khorasan. ISIS Khorasan has been given sanctuary by Pakistan in the recent past, in Punjab, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. I, for one, did not have enough justification to join or to come to a conclusion that ISIS Khorasan could have done. What came to my mind, although I did not have any evidence, is that there is a inter-terrorist organization rivalry on in Pakistan today. In the recent past, the ISIS Khorasan had carried out successful terrorist attack in Russia. It came to light that it had been supported by ISI of Pakistan, and they had a cutting edge or kind of a dominance in the region. So because of which Al-Qaeda was feeling ignored by ISI, by Pakistan Army, by the environment as such. We also are aware of the fact that ISIS Khorasan is connected to groups like Tehrik Taliban Pakistan. It is connected to Baloch Liberation Army, and also a host of other terrorist organizations within Pakistan. It does have bases, modules operating in Afghanistan. The ideology between Afghanistan Taliban and ISIS Khorasan, it doesn't align, it doesn't coincide. It is at a crossroads, it is divergent to each other. So therefore, the biggest enemy of Afghanistan Taliban is ISIS Khorasan. I do not visualize they coming to any degree of rapprochement immediately or in near future. But the reason as to why ISIS Khorasan has hit this target, perhaps after 2008, where the Marriott Hotel was attacked by the terrorist, if I respect my memory, again it was ISIS Khorasan, and 62 people had died, good number, almost close to 250 odd people are very seriously injured in the Marriott Hotel. After that, you mentioned about the court incident sometime in November, December 2000.